Hi, good afternoon, and very warm welcome everyone on Logical Talk 28. Uh, Today, our topic is something very interesting. Part of law, yet IT, very interesting. And as I saw the list of registrations, Ashish and I were looking at that. There was a very big, very healthy mix of people from IT background and the legal background, risk advisory background. I think this is the conversation is going to be interesting, and we have tried to make this conversation in a manner that it interests both. So the topic for today, as you all know, certain guideline. Uh, we will try to give a perspective from both the legal and IT side. But before, by the time when I still see a lot of people still joining in, so we will run our customary slide. And as I always say, I'm sure by now it's 28th webinar and you're seeing the slides. So just to avoid some kind of boredom, we try to change the slide today. But the content, more or less, you know, a quick introduction about Lawrbit. We are India's one of the leading regulatory technology companies offering global regulatory compliance management solutions to enterprise clients in India and globally. Today, we have the capability of serving clients in 70 plus countries. We are serving around 550 plus entities, 15,000 plus users who are using and relying on regulatory intelligence and GCMS globally. There are 2 lakh plus users who have subscribed to our regulatory updates, which comes to them every Monday morning. Uh, Quickly look at the countries where we have served clients. The solution which we offer you includes GCMS, legal matter management, enterprise risk management, and we also help you do with regulatory compliance health check or regulatory compliance audits. One very interesting milestone for us from our side, officially, Lawrbit has completed 7 years this month. 21st August was our corporate anniversary. Uh, while as I mentioned, as you know, I'm personally into this business for more than a decade now, but Lawbit officially was started around 7 years ago. Uh, and in 7 years, I think we have come a long way. And with a team of 100 plus and tech professionals, we are in a position to serve our clients, India and globally as well. Now, let's get started with the agenda for today. And let me quickly introduce our panelist, Ashish. Ashish is the partner of cybersecurity with NangiaNXT. Nangia Anderson, as many of you would know and may know it with. Ashish comes with more than 20 years of experience across cybersecurity and the various diverse domains. He and I'm sure, as you know, as with 20 plus years, he's possibly touched every aspect of cybersecurity, be it cyber, and and I would say 20 years is when really the cyber threat and cybersecurity has evolved. He began his career with uh, CERT-In, and he laying a strong foundation of national level cybersecurity readiness for the country. Uh, and Ashit, I would definitely, from your side, want to hear when you started your experience, your journey with CERT-In. How was CERT-In at that point of time, and How is it evolved today? I would definitely want to hear that off track, offline, uh, uh, slightly different from the discussion today. Uh, he's played a key role in the big fours like Deloitte and EY, where he spent time advising large, enterprise scale clients in cybersecurity engagements across geographies, India and globally as well, and helping them, develop their strategy on the cybersecurity. And he has also worked with system integrators like Accenture, TCS, Pro. So from certain to Big Four doing consulting to the system integrated, I think he has seen the complete cycle of sites. So he understands from both, certain perspective, or auditor's perspective, auditor's perspective, I think, and he's the best person to speak on this topic today. Uh, and with this, Ashish, I want to welcome you on this discussion today. Thank you so much for giving your time and also so patiently working with the team because uh, ours is a team of lawyers who understand law very well, not a cybersecurity professional, and I'm sure you would have seen. So it was a lot of inputs from your side in to help team understand how to, what are the key important aspects. I think working with you during this journey of preparing these deck also has been a great learning for us also. Thank you. And I'm sure it will be an enlightening session for everyone. Okay, so what are you going to cover today? Evolution of cybersecurity audit framework. And Ashish, maybe this is where I would want you to also talk about your initial days of certain that experience as well here, which I'm sure will get covered in the first slide itself. Genesis of certain cybersecurity audit guidelines. We'll talk about the frameworks, the responsibility, and what are the trigger points for cybersecurity auditor, responsibility of auditee and auditor, what you need to be sure about when you're getting into audit contracts and agreements, what kind of liabilities will come in, penalties could come in, and how you have to keep yourself ready, prepare, ready yourself with the new guidelines. Even if you are somebody who is already getting your applications, your data, audited from certain empaneled vendor auditors right now, what new things are here for you? And this is something going to be very interesting because there are a lot of new things, even if you are getting yourself audited right now. Why this discussion? Why is very important? I was just before this discussion session, I was thinking we all witnessed Operation Sindhu recently. We've been witnessing, Russia-Ukraine war. We've been witnessing multiple other wars across the globe right now. I think, and again, uh, the the Trump tariffs, as everybody will call that, have also kicked in. Uh, globally, there is a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of volatility. Now, when and as an as a country, when the country has to prepare, the country has to safeguard their assets. And as we looked at the Russia-Ukraine war or Israel wars, the first attack for in any war is the infrastructure, physical, and today more than physical is the cyber infrastructure, our application, because these are all critical part of the supply chain. These are all critical part of the national development. Now, if and today we are dependent on everything on our applications. Everything is on the cloud. Everything is on the technology, is dependent on technology. Now, as an organizations, it's not just about safeguarding ourselves. I think it is also about safeguarding the critical national assets also, because we all contribute to some important aspects of the critical supply chain of the from the for the country as well. It's very important time, because the first attack in any conflict is not the physical infrastructure, but today the cyber infrastructure. As we all noticed during the Operation Sindoor also, a lot of advisories were issued from the government on the cyber attacks which are happening on the individuals and on the corporates as well. And that's where these important guidelines play an even more important role for us to prepare ourselves for the eventualities as we are seeing in the volatile world right now. With this, I welcome Ashish once again, and let's start with the discussion. Ashish, over to you. Want to hear your thoughts here.
Thank you so much, Jans. Thanks you so much for setting up that context. And I would also like to thank Lawrbit for giving me the opportunity to, speak about this particular important guidelines released by CERT-In, which is for cybersecurity audit. And you set the context pretty well when you were referring to Operation Sindoor. So, and Russia-Ukraine war. So what we can clearly see that nowadays war is not between army, it is or maybe army personals. It is more towards technology, AI generated technology. Different drones, missiles are getting used for all these, in these fights. And all these machines are either driven by AI or maybe some machine learning. So definitely technology is key aspect. And each and every country, especially India, is opting for new and new technology. And that is where these certain guidelines are pretty much important in terms of securing the critical infrastructure and to respond against any of the state-sponsored attack and not only respond, also detect and remediate those attacks on priority basis. So very good afternoon, everyone. Maybe good evening as well, or the best way is namaste, everyone. With this note, I mean, I would like to quickly brief you about all these certain cybersecurity audit guidelines, and it will be literally a pleasure for me to speak about certain audit guidelines. As Jayant already briefed about, I have started my career with certain. I mean, in way back in 2005, I have joined certain, and that time certain was just getting established. So we were member of, I think, 15, 20 resources who were initially responsible for handling incident coming across globe towards India, and then reporting those incidents to respective countries CERT in terms of mitigating those incident coming out from various ISP, or maybe likewise if we are getting any incident from Indian originated ISP, we help them in terms of blocking those ISP or blocking that particular IP. So that was initial role of certain, and definitely I'm pretty much sure you guys are well versed that certain was established. I mean, this particular slide is depicting that 2004 when certain got mandate of certain came, and that was under IT Act 2000, Section 70B, where METI, Ministry of Electronics and IT Communication, has the provision to authorize one of the government body to take care of entire digitization part, to regulate that digitization part. And going ahead in 2013, when CERT-In has started empanelment of different organization to act as a auditor, certified auditor who can audit against the certain audit guidelines. Then in 2022, CERT-In has issued few of the landmark mandates, like one of them was 6-hour reporting of any of the cyber incident, and then raw retention of 180 days. So 6-hour information information of any incident reporting to certain within 6 hours. Definitely, it's still a much debatable time frame. Although there are some international guidelines like CSS Singapore is having 24 hours of reporting of any incident. Likewise, GDPR is having 72 hours. So there are, but India being leading towards digitization, having good number of technology, be it UPI payment or different AI solutions, or opting for different quantum computing, cloud computing. So better to have this shortened timeline so that we will have ample amount of time in terms of uh, react against that particular incident, also to inform similar kind of agency that this particular incident is happening, so they can well prepare against that particular incident. And then in 2025, they roll out this cybersecurity guideline mandate, which is very well drafted in terms of coverage, in terms of approach and methodology, in terms of responsibility of auditee and auditors, in terms of procuring artifacts, in terms of dealing with the data which is coming after audit activity. And before moving into to the next slide, I just wanted this particular session to be more interactive. So I would like if you guys can raise your hands in terms of how do you feel about reporting the incident within 6 hours? So what do you think about it? Do you think it's a wise initiative from the certain side, or it's a mammoth task for each and every organization? So I would like to hear from your side, or maybe at the end of this particular session, we can discuss that particular part, but you can definitely write your thought process in the chat box. Yeah.
Maybe if you're okay with the 6 hours timeline, raise a thumb. Where if you think this is too much, just raise a surprise or a laugh icon. You can use that.
Right. So now in terms of genesis and evolution, definitely we have discussed that how certain got evolved, how it got introduced, and then evolved with different initiatives, cybersecurity initiative or guidelines. Now coming to Genesis, so in terms of rising threat is one of the key pointers which certain definitely noticed, and that is where they have released this particular guidelines to ensure that any of the cyber threat or vulnerability can be mitigated and handled in proper manner and in a within a defined or timeline. So apart from rising threat, there is technology adoption across industries, be it ICS system if we are talking about, or second is definitely digitalization across industries, be it we are talking about power sector, smart meters, if we are talking about industrial control, if we talk about IoT devices, if we talk about AI, if we talk about blockchain, quantum computing. So there is a increased adoption of technology, and that is where these guidelines are very much important to ensure security of the infrastructure, Indian-owned infrastructure. And initially, I mean, it was more towards regulatory checkbox where you need to get the audit done for the sake of getting the audit done and getting certificate from certain that now you are good to do business within India, or if you are outside of India, you can have business with the India. Now this particular audit guidelines is not only talking about ticking the box, it is also ensuring that we have properly followed all the security guidelines. It is implemented properly. So this is not only limited to test of design, it is going to go deeper and check the operative effectiveness of all the controls which are listed in information security policy.
Ashish, here, when I say going more deeper, is it going to, is it going to, now maybe I think that's something which we're going to cover here in the coming slides also, but is it going to make audit more lengthier, more tougher from an auditee's perspective? Because we're
Not
used to a certain set of.
Not exactly lengthier or tougher, but yeah, if you are saying something that this particular thing is already there, then definitely auditor have right to ask for evidence whether that particular thing is there or not. And that is what I was referring to when I was talking about deeper checks. So suppose if I give you a example in very layman terms. So suppose I being auditee, one of auditor came to me and asked me whether I am following the password policy. So I can tell him that see, this is a password policy which I am having, and it is having these controls that this password should be 10 digit long, it should have alphanumeric, it should have some special character. So all these controls are already mentioned here. That means I am following. But I, as an auditor, I need to verify whether these checklist which is there in that particular policy are getting followed or not. For that, what I can do, I can maybe I can try to create one of the password having simple password as password, and then check whether that policy is really enforced on ground or not. So this is what I meant to in terms of getting deeper.
Understood.
So it is
Okay.
not only interview based. It is I can ask for evidence. I can validate those evidence. So that is what this particular audit guidelines is all about.
Okay.
Now, in terms of basic principle, so if we are talking about basic principle, so definitely it is more towards independence and objectivity. So any auditor who is coming to audit your firm should have independent point of view. It should not get into any, you know, there should not be any what I would call conflict of interest. And then if we are talking about objectivity, then it should have the objective clear that this is what he or she needs to do. And that objective should already been discussed with auditing firm. Then integrity, ethical conduct. So if we are going to audit anything, it should be ethical. If we are producing any reports out of that particular audit, we need to ensure the integrity of that particular activity. Then if we talk about transparency and accountability, the audit should be transparent and it should be accountable. I mean, any observation should have a particular uh, accountable spoke or a team who should act on that particular observation in terms of remediation. Then if we talk about confidential, because audit findings are critical for any of the organization. So if we are going to highlight a gap in your system, that should be confidential to yourself only. Any third party is not supposed to uh, have view or understanding of all those observation or security loopholes. Then professional judgment, as I already mentioned earlier to Jayant, like in terms of deeper audit mechanism, you cannot only rely on the word of auditee. You cannot only rely that if he is producing any artifact, whether that artifact is enough to make a judgment or not. You can drill it down. You can validate that particular artifact, and that kind of uh, power certain is giving to auditors, so that end of the day you have the valid result in front of you. Okay, so before, if you can skip that particular slide. So because we have already discussed about Genesis evaluation, so I would like to hear from audience side that what they think, that what was the trigger behind introducing this particular guidelines. So maybe you can skip this particular slide, let them uh, put their thought on the text box, and then maybe we can talk about. I will pause for 5-10 seconds, and then maybe we can get into that particular slide. So yeah, now I can request to get into that particular slide. So I saw one pop-up which was more towards digitization, and that was the correct option. I mean, definitely digitization is something which we have discussed earlier. Then cyber risk and reporting, yeah. So there are different regulatory mandate from India side, like we are having DPDPA Act, we are having RBI guidelines, we are having SEBI guidelines, we are having ADI guidelines. So each and every guidelines are very much sector specific. So if we are talking about RBI guidelines, they are more towards BFSI sector, which is covering banking, insurance, NBCs, NBFCs, and all. But and likewise, we were having earlier as well, like there are international guidelines like ISO, HIPAA were there. So that is what certain thought about, that they have to have audit guidelines, which is irrespective of sector specific, it should have a national national view of the cybersecurity guidelines, covering ask from each and every sector, and adding few of the additional point which is very much important to ensure the security, national level cybersecurity. Also, not only controls, apart from incident, if there is any incident is happening, how that incident needs to be handled, how that incident needs to be responded. And then in terms of having threat database for which can be referred at any point of time, these mandates are very much important. Then incident driven, definitely, because there are good number of incidents happen across globe as well as across India, and that is where these mandates were very much important. Then challenge transformation. So the point one mentioned in terms of digitalization, so that challenge transformation is referring to that. Now we are opting for IoT, we are opting for ICS, which include Office SCADA. We are talking about smart cities. We are talking about smart meters. We are getting each and everywhere we are going into digitalization. And that is where when we are talking about digitization, we need to ensure the security of those technology which we are going to use, be it adoption of cloud, be it quantum computing, be it blockchain. And to ensure the security, these guidelines are very much important. I will definitely discuss about more of these guidelines, how these guidelines can help in terms of securing all the upcoming or trending technology in subsequent slides. But yeah, digitization was one of the key trigger. Then third party supply chain. So initial audit guidelines, certain was not considering third party, and because of this third party, there are good number of attack was happened across globe and within India, and that is where these cybersecurity guidelines were very much important. Where certain is specifically asking for maintaining the bill of material, be it software bill of material or AI bill of material, or maybe cloud bill of material that is called CBOM, and or quantum bill of material that is QBOM. And if I'm talking about bill of material is very much similar to if we are going to uh, say buy any of the ingredient from grocery shop. So it is having all the, sorry, any of the item from grocery shop. So it is having ingredients on that particular item. Likewise, bill of material, if we are talking about software bill of material, then it is having all the details about that particular software, what all open source library has been used, what is licenses are getting used. So so all those combination which is used to create that particular software is there in the bill of material, and it is very easy for any of the organization if there is any incident happen with respect to that particular software. So what all component are involved on that particular software, and that is where it will be easy for you to trace or track that particular incident. Yeah. So, great.
So
Any
maybe Ashish, on this slide itself, I want to understand because maybe ask you because this came as one of the questions also. Uh,
right.
you mentioned regulatory statutory mandates. So there are now too many things. Now there is DPDP Act coming in, the RBI CB, specific requirements are there. Now, if the question is if I take care of the certain requirement, does it by default mean that I'm complying with everything else which RBI or SEBI is expecting me to do?
So, not exactly. So, as you already mentioned, so suppose let's take example of RBI. Okay. So RBI is having directives for banking sector, or rather BFSI sector, right? So it is having all the controls which are more related towards banking controls, ensuring the financial data, security of financial data. It is not talking about incident response. It is not talking about evidence collection and all those things. And that is where certain thought that there are different guidelines like RBI is having for BFSI sector. Likewise, CEA recently introduced their guidelines for power sector. There is ADI guidelines for insurance sector. There is SEBI guidelines. So, irrespective of having the guidelines for different sectors, certain has created guidelines national wide, which is having. So, what I can say that certain guidelines is superset, which are if you are comply with certain guidelines, you are covering almost 80 or 90% of controls which are there in the RBI or SEBI or maybe ADI guidelines. I hope I answer your query.
Right. But at the same time, you're also saying that there may be some very sector specific controls because of the kind of data you are dealing with or because of the kind of sensitivity which your company or industry has. So these guidelines could have to be looked at as well as the certain guidelines put together. Okay,
No, so that
thanks.
is so what I was saying as well, that if you are comply with certain audit guidelines, that means you are already 90% comply with any
90.
of other guidelines. Now, even
Right.
if we are talking about international different continent guidelines, like if we are talking about ISO, there is a CSA guidelines from Singapore. So they are also relying on certain guidelines because of comprehensiveness of those guidelines and also the coverage of those guidelines. So that kind of
Okay.
impact we are already making internationally.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. So this particular slide is talking about determining scope of applicability. So in terms of applicability, so any organization which is dealing with critical data, be it BFSI sector, be it power sector, be it banking sector, all these organizations should be comply with certain audit guidelines. So any organization which is dealing with critical data, which is having data center in India, which is having providing VPN services to Indian clients, all these organizations is to be compliant. And then if we talk about auditor firm, then it's certain impaneled auditor who are supposed to perform audit against certain audit guidelines. And all the certain impaneled auditors, as I already mentioned in previous slide, that in 2013, when CERT-In has started the impanelment of auditor, and I mean, list of all the empanelment auditors along with their snapshot, like how many audits they have done, for which sector they have done, what kind of team strength they are having, what kind of skill set they are having, what kind of certification they are having, is already there on the certain side. So at any point of time, if you want to understand about certain impanel auditor, or you want to know more about any other certain impanel auditor, you can refer to certain impaneled auditor page, and you will also get understanding of the snippet of that particular organization, that the kind of capability that organization is having, along with the kind of credentials with respect to respective sector they are having. So you will get the snapshot of that as well. So in terms of compliance threshold, or maybe geography reach, or maybe risk-based consideration, I think I explained it all well. Uh, and before moving, I think we all are mentally and physically present on this particular discussion. So maybe I am not very much sure how many of you have participated in any of the audit activity, be it from any of the auditor side. But I would like to understand from your side that whenever you know or you hear the word audit, what comes into your mind? Whether you take it as a headache for you, I mean, oh God, there is one more audit. Now we need to work on a number of unnecessary things. Or you take it, okay, that's great. I mean, we are going to assess against few controls, and that will show that how much we are capable, or how much our practice is strengthened against any of the compliance requirement.
So
So,
maybe we can use this. We can use the
uh,
React button again. If you are saying it's an important one, we've happily participated in audits. Say thumbs up, and if you say
right.
it's a challenge, then you say okay, surprise. You can say yes.
Right. So whether you are taking it or taking it always as the area of improvement, or how you are taking it, that is definitely. Okay. So now coming to this is very important aspect of certain audit guidelines, which is auditee's responsibility and auditor's responsibility. So auditee responsibility. So if we are talking about first point, which is governance and oversight by type management. So whenever I wanted my firm to be audited against certain audit guidelines, I should have involvement of top management, be it board member, be it promoters, be it CEOs of the organization, make them understand that why this is very much important. They should involve in this particular audit from the start of that particular audit, and they have clear understanding that why this particular audit is important for us. We'll definitely talk about certain audit benefit in later part, and also the penalties or maybe risk associated if you are not compliant with certain audit guidelines. We'll definitely discuss about all those things later part. But governance, top management involvement is very much important if you are getting audited from the against the certain audit guidelines. Then if we talk about risk acceptance and exception handling. So whenever there is audit happening, there are a number of risk has been highlighted. For few risk, you think that risk is not appropriate, or that risk is not having that kind of impact on your organization, you might willing to accept that risk. Or maybe because of XYZ reasoning, you will not be able to remediate that particular risk within the defined timeline, then you can take the exception, say for 3 months or 6 months. For that, you have to have proper documentation, how that risk acceptation process needs to be done, how exception handling needs to be carried out. That all things should be auditors should be well versed of. Then remediation and follow after submission of report from auditor, you have to remediate each and every vulnerability identified by the auditor. And then once it is remediated, you need to get the follow-up audit done to check whether that particular vulnerability is remediated or not. I'm sorry, I'm taking bit more time on this particular slide because I think this is very much important for auditing and auditor point of view. And I'm pretty much sure we are having audience mix of both the category. So that is where I'm putting some time on this particular part. So if we're talking about internal monitoring and development practices, so we need to, as once you get the list of findings, you have to internally monitor each and every finding in terms of closure, and also ensure that the similar kind of findings are not going to occur in future. Then application handling and audit artifact. So audit artifacts are very much critical for any of the auditee organization. So if I am having observation against any of the finding, then that observation should be supported by with with one or maybe many of the artifacts, and ensuring those artifacts are properly managed is very much important aspect for auditees. Then asset management and infrastructure security. Uh, as an auditee, you should have entire CMDB, which can clearly depict the list of asset which your organization is having, so that there is no chance of any asset is missed from the audit or from the assessment side. Now, coming to auditors' roles and responsibility side, then we have to clearly define the role of auditor. Then auditor personal conduct and competency. So at any point of time, you as an auditor can interview auditor to check whether he or she is capable enough in terms of performing the audit or not. Then handling audit related data. Any auditor should handle audit related data securely, so that because that as I already mentioned, there is a confidential data having loophole against your organization or your infrastructure or application. So you need to ensure that particular data is handled securely since during entire life cycle. So since generation of data till the time of we uh, destroy that particular data. Then awareness training and outreach. So as an auditor, you need to ensure that we have against the finding, we have to give the awareness session to the auditees, and that too also again as per the certain audit guidelines. Then certain affiliation and branding. So as I already mentioned, certain affiliation you can check at any point of time at certain impaneled auditor site. And in terms of branding compliance, so it is having entire snippet of that particular auditor where you can get understanding in terms of qualification, in terms of kind of assignment that particular auditor did, and along with the credential. And then sharing audit report and audit metadata with certain. So that is a very crucial aspect of this particular audit. So after completion of audit, within 5 days, you have to submit the metadata to certain. And if you are talking about metadata, that data is more towards audit observation, artifact, the approach and methodology you use, the technology or tools you have used for audit. So all these things will be provided to certain within 5 days. I know I took
So
a
I
bit
just,
longer.
I just want to add here one thing, because from an auditor standpoint, it is very important to really clearly define the scope of audit also, and understand the applications which are critical. Define them, because maybe auditor will never know which is the critical application, what are the various interfaces, because sometimes we would talk about the main application, but not the interfaces. There are other things which are having an interface but not apparently known. they get missed out from the audit scopes. So I think those are also important point. And as Ashish you rightly mentioned that involvement of the one of the key decision maker and the board should always be there, because uh, any observations may have very high impact on some investments which are required. So
That's correct.
those may also come in. So if you have a right audience and the decision maker involved, so the findings can be closed faster, because uh,
Right.
audit is
So
not
in
just
terms
about a
of
find.
Yeah. So Jayant, in terms of audit management, sorry, if we are talking about asset management, the point number 6, it is covering all the asset which are supposed to be audited. So when you are saying the critical asset or application or APIs, so
Right.
those things will be covered under asset management. That is where auditing needs to ensure that all critical assets are there in front of the auditor as a scope for audit.
Actually, one follow-up question which I could see from coming from the audience also. I'm an organization who is not providing any SaaS application or not an IT provider. Uh, I consume application for my own self. No client facing or the applications there. Do I still need to go for on certain audits?
So what is the use of that application?
It's all my internal consumptions that I have from maybe I
So
have
what kind of internal
any
consumption?
maybe. And obviously, there are, I would say, let's say, ERPs I have, HRIS I have, some CRM applications I may have, not
So
client
that is
facing,
that is
but my
again
internal.
again you are having that application hosted on some of the infrastructure, right?
Right,
And it is
right.
having some of the data. I'm not very much sure what kind of application. If it is very much personal data, then I don't think so there is any requirement for audit. I mean, if that particular data is only belongs to you, but if that particular data is somehow critical, then it should be audited. So as I already mentioned in my initial uh, stuff when we were talking about trigger, so all the critical or confidential data or all the critical sector uh, needs to be come under certain audit guidelines.
Okay, thank you. I think that you gave a perspective. So I'm saying is when I look at data and not the application usage, I'm saying is data could be anyone's, right? So it could be my client data, my employee data, so which means that itself becomes a critical
Right.
application for me.
So,
Right.
so
Thank you.
that is again how data is classified, whether that particular data is critical enough or not.
Hmm. The other perspective, I think that you answered it well. Thanks, Ashok.
And maybe I
Let's
think
move.
there are and good amount of questions are coming on Q&A sets,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. There are a lot of
So,
coming. Yeah.
so, so maybe I can quickly walk all of the audience on rest of the slide, and then we can jump on the Q&A. So in terms of selection of auditor, I mean, we have discussed this particular part. So selection of auditor, it should be certain impaneled auditor, it should be independent, it should be competence and expertise. I mean, definitely at any point of time, you can check the credential of auditor on certain impaneled page, as well as you can interview that particular auditor who is coming for audit. Then there is audit trigger, regulatory compliance, incident driven. So all these triggers or pointers we have mentioned against which we can do the auditor selection. Now, in terms of planning of audit, so definitely it will be, I mean, in terms of plan of audit, it will start with audit scope, then audit frequency, whether that particular audit needs to be done annually, biannually, or if there is any critical changes are happening on the application side, or any new technology is introduced to the firm, the audit needs to be conducted for that particular thing. Then identification and inclusion, then team planning, stakeholder, then selection of approach and methodology, tools and technology, and then uh, doing the assessment, and then submitting the final report to the auditee. So this is quick flow of the audit, which is getting followed as per the certain audit guidelines. CERT-In is also talking about applicable standard and framework, but it is again talking that you need not to restrict yourself on listed framework. So if you are going to perform application security assessment, you are not only supposed to restrict yourself for OAPS top 10 or SANS top 25. You can also refer standards like ISO. Second part, CERT-In is emphasizes that the audit should not be only tool based. It should have hybrid approach where along with scanning from the tool, you also need to manually assess each and every vulnerability. So that is where applicable standards and framework slide is talking about. So almost all the globally accepted standards, be it OSSTMM, be it ISO, be it IC, be it OAPS, SANS, ISO, are can be followed, but you cannot restrict yourself to them only. So if you found any scope which can go beyond these framework, you can definitely look into that.
Actually, one quick question is coming from multiple participants. Is we have an ISO 27001 certification, SOC 2 we are SOC 2 certified, compliant.
Mhm.
Do I still need to go for a certain audit?
Yeah. So
Okay.
so good you highlighted this particular question. So CERT-In clearly mandate that security by design principles should be followed by each and every software and application. Secure SDLC should be followed by each and every application. And if you are not following secure SDLC, you cannot go with the certain audit, certain impanel audit. You will not be able to follow that particular guideline. ISO is not talking about that particular guideline. So if you are having ISO certificate, having critical infrastructure, you have to go with certain audit guidelines.
Thank you.
So as I already mentioned that ISO having certified with ISO, NIST or any other maybe HIPAA or other standard of the world will definitely give you help in terms of you need not to get yourself prepared against certain audit guidelines from scratch. You will definitely have 50, 60, or maybe 80% of controls already in place. The only thing is there are few controls which you need to work upon, which is very respect to which are very generic towards the certain audit guidelines. Yeah. Uh, so in terms of contract, in audit contract, agreement, and governance, so contract of contract elements, so it should have clearly defined in terms of what all tools, technology, approach, methodology we are going to use, audit timeline, audit team, then in terms of closure of vulnerabilities, then confidentiality, how we are going to ensure the confidentiality of observation, report, data collected during the audit, and then governance. Then what not allowed is conflict of interest, payment linked to the audit outcome. So any auditee cannot say if you will not be able to identify say 10 odd vulnerability, you are not going to be paid. So these kind of things are not allowed. And, and then using certain logo. Yeah, so you can whenever you are marketing yourself or whenever you are going to approach or present yourself for any of the audit, you can only say that you are impaneled with certain, but apart from that, you are not supposed to use certain logo or word certain anywhere while talking about your organization. So this is a clear mandate from certain audit guidelines. Great. So in terms of before getting into this particular slide, what I would like to discuss more about challenges and benefit through certain audit guidelines. So challenges we have definitely discussed that uh, you know 180 days of log retention and 6-hour breach reporting is one of the challenge. But I would like to again here I would like to take a poll, maybe a thumbs up or thumb down. How many of you think that 180 days log retention or maybe 6-hour incident reporting, you feel think it is a challenge or this is how we can definitely you know provide us in terms of area of improvement? Okay. And apart from this particular mandate, which is 180-day log retention and 6-hour incident reporting, there is one more supply chain management is one of the key aspect which was introduced in this certain cybersecurity audit guidelines. So you need to ensure the vendor security, you need to ensure the security of entire supply chain, including creating the bill of material, which is S-bomb, C-bomb, or Q-bomb, which I have already touched upon. So that is again one of the key challenge which most of the organizations are facing in terms of maintaining all these tracks. Then definitely India. I mean, I am not only talking about cybersecurity resource. If we are talking about a skilled auditor, so that is one of the key concern, and that is not only for India, across the globe. So we are having a pretty handful of cybersecurity expert across the globe, and that is where this is one of the challenge. But as I already mentioned, that whether you are taking it as a challenge or you take it as area of improvement, and that is where benefit comes into. So if you are comply with the certain audit guidelines, definitely you are having a confidence and trust. If I am talking about trust of client, customer, so there is always a good reputation that this particular organization is already comply with certain audit guidelines. That means they are secure enough to deal with. Then uh, definitely secure enough. If I am talking about a strong security posture, is one another benefit you will have. Then in terms of we were discussing about RBI guidelines, we were discussing about SEBI and other guidelines. So once you are compliant with certain audit guidelines, that means you are almost done with all those guidelines. Remaining 5-10% very specific to respective sector you need to work upon. Then there is always better resilience, not only your capability to defend against any of the cybersecurity incident, it is more towards resilience. So you will be on better resilience side, and definitely you will be more future ready in terms of adopting new technology. So these kind of benefit we are going to have when all along with the challenges. So challenges, definitely those will be short term, but benefit will be long term. Great. So now I think this particular slide is talking about more in terms of consequences. So majority of consequences are towards legal and regulatory. I already mentioned that IT Act 2000 Section 70B is providing privilege to certain that they can penalize if there is any non-compliance against any of the uh, mandates they are issuing. Then and that is one of the extreme level. I mean, RBI is having their mandate where they can impose some of the penalties apart from de-empanelment of auditors. That is towards auditor side, but in terms of auditee side, there is suspension of business operation, then legal action, and then there is a chances of either penalties or maybe warning of penalties. Then there are operational challenges. Then there are reputational, which is again on the extreme side. If you somehow not be able to comply with those audit guidelines, there is negative media coverage, which is going to have some reputational damage. Then strategic uh, challenges is exclusion from critical tenders. You will not be so like most of the time certain is issuing guidelines that if you are uh, like this one, I mean, if you are not certain in panel auditor, you will not be able to audit any of the auditee. So that kind of exclusion will be there. Then financial implication, as I already mentioned, that regulatory fines with respect to respective guidelines or compliance, there is a financial loss as well. Great. Uh, So I think
Ashish,
audience is pretty
no,
much with me. I am not very much sure. I mean, I know it is bit lengthy, bit technical as well. Although I try to keep it as simple as I can, but I'm pretty much sure that everyone is with me, and
no.
definitely I'm going
Uh,
to address question as well after this particular slide only. I mean, I think I'm Uh, I I think we are done with almost all the slide, or there is only one slide left, right? So maybe I can
Yes,
jump
there's
into
only one.
that particular slide, and then in next 15
No,
minutes, I will try to answer as much as question as possible.
yeah, actually, just one question before we jump to the last slide. Uh, Now, because you're talking about auditor and auditee, we were trying to cover both the sides at the same time.
Mhm.
Uh, Now, I'm an auditee and I'm running my I'm running my business. Now, if I don't get my applications infrastructure audited by the certain and panel auditor, will certain impose uh, any kind of penalties, fines onto me?
So one definitely. So if you are talking about you are not getting certified by certain impanel auditor, then you will not be able to do business within India. So if you are going to bid for any of the government contract or maybe any of the other critical sector contract, you will be asked to give the certain certificate
Hmm.
against that particular
But if
application.
I but I choose not to. So let's say they take our example. I'm thinking, okay. So I guys, so there were a lot of questions. So I am sure Ashish would not want to name any other organization. So let me name Lawrbit so that we all understand the context. So Lawrbit has a SaaS application, right? Now Lawrbit chooses not to get the application audited from certain, but I go and pitch my or sell my application to a private company. Now, certain does not stop me from giving my SaaS application to a private company if I don't get a certain then audit done from a certain empaneled vendor, right? Right. Certain will stop me from getting
No,
this
no, no, no. So
audit.
that it is not going to stop you to sell your uh, application to any of the
Right.
private vendor
But
where
tomorrow,
that
but
certificate,
tomorrow,
cert certificate. But tomorrow, if your application was, uh, come under any of the critical, is dealing with any of the critical data, then definitely you may ask to get your application audit against CERT audit guidelines.
all right. Now, I think this is,
And that is
and
that
maybe
is where,
tomorrow.
sorry to cut you in between, Jan. That is where certain very specifically call out that all critical infrastructure, be it BFSI, uh, be it power sector, be it banking sector, I have already covered under BFSI, and other sectors who are dealing with critical data, critical information
Okay.
infrastructure needs to be assessed against certain audit guidelines. So if it is non-critical, then you need not to worry about that. So suppose one example you have put earlier as well, that if I am creating one application for my own entertainment, I need not to get that particular application audited from certain because that application is not having any CII data. Infrastructure information is not there in that particular application. Why should I get that particular application audited from any of the certain panel auditor? Okay. So if someone wanted, I mean, if I'm going to sell that particular application or I'm going to use that application as some services providing to any third party, then that particular third party may be asked whether that particular application is secure enough to host over the internet or not, and that is where I can get that application audited from any of the uh, you know any of the audit service provider, which may not be certain impaneled, and if that certificate is going to work for me, I can go with that because my application is not dealing with any of the critical data, so I need not to worry about certain audit. So that is a
Understood.
very clear mandate that if that application or infrastructure is coming under CII, CII stand for Critical Information Infrastructure, or if there is any data center, if there is any VPN service provider, if there is any critical data uh, which is getting used within India, then that needs to be come under the purview of audit. I hope I answered this
Okay.
question.
Right. You specifically mentioned CII's critical information infrastructure. So should I assume it is to do with applications, not the physical infrastructure? So let's say I am now I give the example. I'm into
No, so
let's say
again, I would
ABC.
like to sorry. Again, I would like to add one more point before you getting into that particular question, because I think I got your question. So if
Right.
we are talking about audit scope, so it is not only limited to application. It is included to infrastructure. It includes application. It includes Wi-Fi. It includes ICS system. It includes all the information, including your policy and procedure as well. So all these things comes under purview of audit. It is not only application which needs to be assessed. It application along with infrastructure, any mobile application, any policy which is related to your organization, all those things needs to be audited. So in terms of coverage, it is covering each and everything.
Understood. My next question, I think, let me also phrase this. Okay, so I'm saying I'm an EPC service provider. I'm an EPC
Okay.
company
Mm-hmm.
building highways or maybe dams, or and now I'm working on a very critical, mission critical infrastructure, physical
Right.
infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
not an information infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
But I still
Yeah,
have
yeah. Do
information
you
of that
need to
infra.
you need to comply with certain audit guidelines in that case.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. This is what I
Because you
wanted
are
to
dealing
understand.
with critical infrastructure, right? Including a
Right.
grid, dam, all those things. So you need to comply with.
Uh, I hope with this question, a lot of questions, a lot of which were coming from people, from everyone, would have been answered here.
So this particular slide is talking about more towards implementation plans. So basically, if you are already uh, done with certain audit earlier, then there are few aspects which are introduced in this particular audit plan, which is more towards supply chain or third party vendors. Then SBOM, BOM. So you need to take care of that. Then it is talking about 180 days a retention log. You need to take care of that. Then it is highlighting if your organization, particularly in terms of software, if if you are not following secure SDLC, you are not supposed to get that particular software audited. So first you need to introduce secure SDLC into your organization, and then you can go for the certain audit. And this particular implementation plan, this is definitely we need at least another couple of hours to discuss this particular plan in detail. But considering the limitation of time, definitely we got that what all audit preparation or how we need to prepare for the audit. So uh, we need to get against internal readiness. So like internal readiness, one point I have mentioned, like certain is talking about secure SDLC. If you are not having secure SDLC, you are not go for the audit. So first you need to get into secure SDLC. And this is one of the example. Apart from that, there are a number of other things which you need to prepare for to getting into the audit. So, and that is where I was talking that if we need to discuss about entire that particular part, it will need good amount of time, and then maybe we can have a subsequent call schedule where we can discuss all these things in detail. Then audit engagement is definitely selection of the certain impanel auditor. You need to vet that particular auditor and then start the audit. Then post audit compliance, you need to remediate. Then you need to get the re-audit done, then continuous monitoring and re-audit and renewal. So once all the observation has been closed, you need to get it re-audited. So this is quick and high level plan which I have explained about. But maybe Jan, we can, and I'm pretty much sure most of the audience will be pretty much furious about understanding entire implementation plan, and we can have another conference scheduled for implementation, discussing more about implementation plan.
No, definitely, Ashish. But I think so far it's been quite helpful. Uh,
And I know
and I
we
can
are running
see.
out of time. And I also need to, I am having hard stop within next 5-8 minutes. So maybe we can
So,
quickly glance through with the questions. And I would request if you have already have a look on the questions, if we are having say 5-10 different category of question, because then we can quickly answer that. And if somehow I will not be able to answer any of your question because of time limitation, what I would request, I am available at, I will, maybe Jayant can put my email ID over chat box. So you can definitely come up with your question and I would be happy to answer those questions which may go unresponded.
Right. So Ashish, I see a few questions here, but I know it'll not be possible for us to take everything. But quick ones. When you said you repeatedly use the word CII for the organization or CII for the country.
CI for the country. It's not for the
Right.
organization. So for me,
Right.
my
Right.
personal information can be critical, but that is not critical for the organization. I
For the
mean, that
organization.
is not
Right.
critical for the India.
Right. Great. Is there any timelines? Certain said uh, has suggested for conducting your first audit.
Not as such.
Right. Okay. Actually, on this point, can you also elaborate a little more? Because there are many times these audits are not timelines like a statutory or like a statutory audit, or like which are mandated by the law in certain timelines. You being a listed company, you will have to provide certain audit, get some audit done within timelines. These certain audits are not like that. These are your application infrastructure audit, as Ashish repeatedly mentioned. And now with the new guidelines, these are covering few more aspects: cloud bomb, your AI bomb, and also this is covering. So you will have to get those audited. But it's not that you have to get it on a certain timelines. It is not going to come into it if it's you're an IT company or you're on a company which is on CII, it may come into your annual reports, but as such there are no timelines which the certain has specified. Ashish, in 2 minutes, if you quickly also tell our audience as to what uh, for what they can contact you, because actually there are a lot of things. Can I reach out to Ashish for some kind of a guidance, some kind of a services? If you could quickly, just summarize on that.
So couple of things I would like to highlight here. One is definitely in terms of timeline. Certain says that you need to get audited against certain audit guidelines annually, at least. Then apart from that, whenever there is any major technology is introduced into your infrastructure. So suppose if you are going to opt for some AI solution, then you need to go for audit of that particular solution. If you are making any major change in the application, so suppose you are having an application abc.com and you are adding one module to that application, or maybe you are majorly revamping that application which require good amount of code level changes, that time you need to get that particular application audited. So it doesn't mean if this audit guidelines says that you need to get yourself audited annually, that means if you got audited say in 2024, then next time you are going to get yourself audited in 2025 only. In between, if you are having any major technology adoption, or maybe if there is any change in your application or in your infrastructure, you need to get yourself audited and validate that particular change is secure enough or not, or this is in line with the certain requirement or not. So this is the first part. Now, I hope I answer your query in terms of when we need to get into audit. Now, coming to second part of your question, Jayan, that how I can help you in terms of different certain audit requirement. We are certain impaneled auditor. Let me quickly brief you about my firm, Nangia and Co LLP, one of the prominent Indian CA firm, and uh, I think established 40, 44, 44, 45 years back in India, and being number one Indian CA firm, Indian originated CA firm in India. Uh, Now, in 2022, we got membership with Anderson Global, and that is where we have started technology consulting services. And uh, after once we got into technology consulting, we have created our new vertical that is called NangiaNXT to avoid any of the audit restrictions. Channel one, like most of the consulting firms are having with channel one, there are few service restrictions are there, and that is where we are having technology consulting arm of the Nangia and Co, which is NangiaNXT. I am leading entire cybersecurity practice for Nangia next, and I would be happy to help you out in terms of getting yourself ready against certain audit guidelines. As I already mentioned, that we are certain empaneled, certain empaneled auditor, so we can definitely help you out in terms of this particular audit guidelines. I am reachable at email ID. Definitely, I would request Jant if he can put his email ID, my email ID over text box. Although I
It is
would
already
quickly
already been.
spell it out. It's Ashish, ASHISH, Ashish dot MISHRA Mishra @ Nangia, NangiaNXT.com.
It's already been mentioned in on the chat box by Trishul. You can take a note of, everyone can take a note of it. In case you want us to connect you with Ashish, you can always reach out to any of the concerned person who is dealing with you from a customer success team or from our implementation teams. We will connect you with Ashish as well.
Great. So I am having 1 more minute left with me. So if there is any quick question, I would be happy to answer.
No, actually, I think this was quite helpful. There are quite a few. What if we are selling our IT services to the overseas market? Do we need to do audit before selling it? And what ISO certification we need? Uh, okay,
So maybe
I think
what I can do, so these, I mean, the question which were remain unanswered. So maybe I will have a look of those questions and will try to respond on as much as possible.
right.
And in case there is any, query against that particular question, like this question which Jan was referring, I didn't get that what kind of organization you are and what kind of business you are doing. I will maybe get into a call with you and where I will get more understanding and then can help you and guide you in terms of what ISO certification. So in NangiaNXT, I'm leading entire cybersecurity practice, and we are having vertical cyber strategy where we are helping different clients in terms of against different international certification, including ISO, NIST, GDPR, readiness. So definitely we can discuss that particular part as well. So I think I'm good for now, and I would like to thank you, Jayant, and thank you, audience, for keeping this particular session interactive. I hope you uh, I mean, I was able to convey most of this particular audit guidelines, and would love to hear from your side and would love to interact on any of the subsequent questions.
Thank you, Ashish. I think this was quite helpful. And I see there are a lot of questions still coming in. But shortage of time, we won't be able to. Trishul and I thought Nikita has also shared a link to our one of the articles on on these guidelines. You may also refer to them. There are few of these questions which may get addressed. And as Ashish has shared his email ID, you can reach out to Ashish directly, and he'll be able to help you direct on those because sometimes it's not easy to answer just by looking at one small scenario. There are a lot of deep dive which one has to do to answer the real question. So we don't want to just answer half-hearted, share half-hearted information, half-cooked information. You may reach out with more specific questions. Ashish, thank you so much. It was really a pleasure because this is again, as I said, this is a topic which is on the verge of law and technology both. And since we deal more with lawyers and company secretaries, कभी-कभी हमारे लिए this becomes slightly more technical and difficult to handle. But you navigated and tried to address it very well. Thank you. It was really a delight.
No, thank you so much, Jan. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about this very important aspect of cybersecurity. And thank you so much for having me here.
And I just want to share with everyone, as Trishul was mentioning before this, Trishul, who leads our customer success team and this initiative, she was mentioning this is the first webinar in India on these recent guidelines from CERT-In. We will be sharing the recording of this session also on our YouTube channel. You may feel free to re-look at, because there will be many discussions which you may want to re-look, understand better. Feel free to go and check it. I think by Monday or Tuesday it'll be up there.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you once again, everyone.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Have
Have a
a
good day.
great evening.
Bye bye.
Namaskar.